a quick personal update, and the power of waiting. Welcome back to the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable ideas from the Torah that you can use to upgrade your life today. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Before we jump into this week's podcast, I just wanted to share a short personal update. I realized that this week marks a year that I finished writing my first book, Living Beautifully, and thank God the book is now out. People are reading it. I'm getting incredible feedback from it, and it just feels such a momentous time. One of my earliest childhood memories is when I was about 4 or 5, and my school took us on a trip to see the Queen of England. It was extremely exciting because we were going to be let into the gates of Buckingham Palace. If you've ever visited Buckingham Palace, you'll know that the palace is set a little bit back, and then there are gates, and we were going to go inside the gate and wait inside while the Queen drove past us. Obviously, we weren't going to personally meet the Queen. She was just going to drive past us. But the fact that we were going inside those gates made such an impression on my young mind that it is one of the earliest and most powerful memories I have. It's interesting, we're now in the Jewish month of Elul, when we're told that the King of all kings is in the field. He's accessible to us. Obviously, there's a difference. In fact, there's two differences. I could see the Queen, but the Queen didn't really see me. In Elul, we cannot see the King, so to speak, the King of all kings. But we know that the King of all kings, God, is waiting for us. Now let's look at this power of waiting, because it's such a powerful thing in our life. There's a fascinating mitzvah in this week's Torah portion. The mitzvah is that if there is a bird and you want to take the eggs away from the bird, you must send the mother bird away before you take those eggs, so that the mother bird doesn't see her eggs, which she works so hard to nurture, being taken away in front of her. And we're told, Rav Nachman says that this mitzvah is such a great mitzvah that it's going to merit us bringing the Mashiach, the redemption. What's the connection? Let's think about it. A mother bird that's sent away from her eggs, which she works so hard to nurture, what does she do? She goes and she pines and she waits to be reunited with her babies. And her babies sense that. They sense that the mother is waiting for them, because the power of knowing that someone is waiting for you is so, so impactful. Research shows that, people that unfortunately go through abuse as a child, it can have an impact. But research actually shows that what's more impactful is a child who suffers neglect. A child who grows up not knowing whether they're seen or they're cared for or they're loved can have a worse impact on a child than a child that goes through abuse, because the power of being waited for is so impactful. Let me tell you a couple of stories. There was a teacher who worked in a school for kids who had gone through other schools but hadn't done well there, right? So we're talking about kids that have been failed by the system, kids that were cynical, not the easiest group of kids. And there was one particular teacher in this school who was phenomenally successful. She could teach deep concepts, powerful concepts, and the kids were open, they listened, they were engaged in her lessons. So the head of the school went to the teacher and said, "What's your secret?" He says, "I'll tell you what the secret is. My secret is that at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of my lesson, I focus on the kids that show up. Any kid that shows up on time, they're welcomed with a hot chocolate and a fresh Danish." Now, obviously, the kids, these were older kids, they could get their own Danish, right? They don't need the physical Danish. But the fact that they knew that the teacher was so happy to see them, that the teacher was waiting for them with a fresh Danish, brought out the best in these kids. When we know that someone's waiting for us, it's such a powerful motivator. There's a story that's told that there was a rabbi who was approached by a community and asked, "Can you come be our rabbi? Can you move to our community?" And the rabbi said, "No, I'm not really interested. It's not the right community for me. It's not a place where I want to move to." And then the person said to him, "But there are 250 people that are waiting for you to be their rabbi." And when he heard this, he said, "There's 250 people that are waiting for me?" He got up, he packed his bags, and he moved there. The Queen of England's death, most of us didn't know her, but it touched us. We're now in the month of Elul. It's a month where we're told the King of Kings is waiting for you. What does that mean? Let me share with you a story. After the Holocaust, people used to go to the port of Haifa and wait for the boats to come in. Now, there was one woman who went there day after day after day. She was a Holocaust survivor, and obviously she was waiting to see if any of her family would be arriving on one of those boats. And one day, she sees this thin, dejected-looking child coming off the boat. And he looks at her and he shouts, "Mama, Mama!" It's her son. And she gathers him into an embrace and she says, "Don't worry about anything. It's enough that you've arrived. Don't worry about talking. Don't worry about anything." And she just hugs him and she's so grateful to be reunited with her son. That's the image of Elul, right? We're coming up to the high holidays and we're probably looking at ourselves and maybe we're comparing ourselves to what we were last year. But that's not how God looks at it. God looks at it, "I'm waiting for you, my child. You are precious. You are beautiful. All we have to do is return, is to come back." And we can keep that powerful image of the mother who's being reunited with a child and understand that that is the power of what God is waiting for us. That's all, to gather us in, to embrace us, and for us to come back and just to show our internal beauty which we already have with us. The knowledge that the King of all kings is waiting for you is a powerful motivator in your life. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get in touch with me, gilaross@gmail.com. And you can get my book on Amazon, any good Jewish bookstores, or get in touch with me directly to get your signed copy. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so you don't miss out. Have a wonderful day.